thought I brought. Welcome to everyone who's joined us so far. We're just about to start. We're still in the process of gathering here in Dhammadharini in our meditation hall. And good to see some familiar faces, Robert and Heather. And I may have met Tony. I don't know. No.
No, Venerable, I'm very brand new.
I didn't quite hear what you said.
Very brand new. First time zooming in with.
Oh, you're in Australia.
I am.
Tasmania. Oh,
Yes.
that's south of
Yeah, south of Melbourne. Yeah, we're an island state.
Yeah, I was in South Australia. I was in Adelaide.
Yes.
Not too long ago. So I was trying to get an idea about the geography there.
Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful you can join us.
Yes. No, thank you for accepting my request.
Oh, you're very welcome. So we start out with some guided meditation. And so since that's good to know you're a beginner or very new to us or new to meditation?
New to you.
Oh, okay.
I'm a member of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia and of Victoria.
Oh, that's great. I had the opportunity to be on retreat with Ajahn Brahm.
Yes, he's wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to teach or lead a guided meditation. And I think it's somewhat in keeping with Ajahn Brahm's method. And although I've heard a number of teachers start out this way with a little bit of a body scanning, just to get in touch with the present moment and getting in touch with the body, what's going on with the body. So we start out with a somewhat coarser, but apparent. What's very apparent is the sensation in the body, the experience of the body, and naturally thoughts and different emotions and things come up. But we're starting out to use the body as an kind of an anchor for our awareness in the present moment. And we start out with like I was saying, a little bit coarser and then get into a little bit more subtle. So we start out just feeling the body as a whole in the sitting position, if you're able to sit upright. It's good to really check the posture and make sure you're in a position that you can maintain for about a half an hour. Get my and just getting a really good sense of uprightness. One explanation is if there's a cord attached to the top of your head and it's like pulling up a little bit, and then the body can kind of be suspended a little bit from that cord, so that the spine is a little bit extended too. Not too much stress on the low back, but making sure the low back has that natural curve, so one's not slouching. So just getting an overall sense of how the body's positioned. And in this tradition, the eyes are lightly closed. And sensing the weight of the body, that contact of the body with whatever is supporting it. And then starting with your feet, if your feet are on the floor, you can feel the contact of the feet against the floor. If your legs are crossed, you can sense whatever they're pressed up against. Getting a good sense of the feet. And bringing the awareness gradually up over the ankles. Over the legs, the lower legs up to the knees. And sensing the thighs and the buttocks. Bringing the awareness over the hips, the low back, and the abdomen. And bringing the awareness further up the back and chest. Just inviting everything to relax, the body to relax as you're bringing the awareness upwards. And feel the gentle expansion and contraction of the torso, the abdomen with the breath. Over to the shoulders. And then down the arms. All the way down to the fingertips. Really inviting the hands to let go, to be at ease. And anywhere that's you feel any tension, you can give it your kind attention, your kind awareness. Then up the arms again to the shoulders. And the neck. All the way up to the top of the head. Really sensing the top of the head. And downwards over the forehead. And just gently inviting the muscles to relax. Around the eyes. And the cheeks and the jaws. You might feel the passage of the air through the nostrils. The lips lightly touching. The tongue lightly against the roof of the mouth. Just occupying the space of the mouth. And the chin. Neck again. And shoulders. Letting the weight of the world just drop off those shoulders. And down the arms again. All the way down to the fingertips. Sensing what the contact with the arms to the body. To the torso. And back up to the shoulders. And then downwards over the chest. You might sense the rising and falling of the chest, the expanding and contracting of the chest. And the abdomen. And you can continue scanning the body like this, or you can bring your awareness to the breath if you feel ready to do so. You might start out with a whole experience of the breath expanding and contracting. The abdomen and chest. And only when you're ready, you can settle the awareness in one spot of the breath cycle. That's the nostrils or the abdomen, wherever seems like a comfortable place. And as you're scanning or breathing, sensing the breath, it's natural for thoughts to arise. Just bring awareness to the thought. Very kindly, gently. When you remember, bring your awareness back to the body, to the breath. And we'll continue in silence for another 16 minutes or so. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. So during December, we here at Dhammadharini monastery and at our hermitage as well, we think about, we celebrate the coming of Sanghamita Theri to Sri Lanka. She was Arhat Bhikkhuni, and she was invited by her brother, who was an Arhat Bhikkhu, because there was a call out for Bhikkhuni ordination at Sri Lanka. Some women had requested that. So she came from India, from the Asokan Empire to Sri Lanka. So I'm not such a good historian, but we've been kind of following the progress of her coming to Sri Lanka, and then the impact she made as far as bringing the Bodhi tree and full ordination. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to Venerable Kachayana, if I can figure out how to. I just looked. What do I do? Technologically impaired. So Venerable Kachayana has offered to be able to give some history, a little bit of history, and this is an inspiration not only for women but for all genders, that the Buddha Dhamma has been passed on this way, and what an amazing fortune for people to encounter arhats, their introduction to Buddhism. So here this is Venerable Kachayana. Will explain what the significance of today, and maybe a little more background too.
Yeah. So today is the eve of the solstice. We're also coming up on the new moon. So at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming up on maybe the longest, darkest night of the year with no moon, and, longest time with the sun being away. But it is a time that's commemorating a period of great light in Sri Lanka. As Suvijjana said, we've been following the journey of Sanghamita all this month. So she was a daughter of the Emperor Ashoka in India, a great emperor who was converted to Buddhism and then sent out Dhamma missionaries around India and around the surrounding areas. And he sent his son, Mahinda Thero, the Arahant Bhikkhu, to Sri Lanka. And in Sri Lanka, Mahinda Thero encountered the king, and the king was just so inspired by him that he converted to Buddhism. And from the teachings of the Venerable Mahinda, many of the royal people, well, not just them, but including them, encountered the Dhamma, and some of them woke up, including the vice queen, Anula Devi. She became a stream mentorer from listening to the teachings of Mahinda Thero. And she and also her 1,000 female companions, the palace ladies, also became stream enterers. And all of them then wished to ordain to become bhikkhunis after that experience. And so they asked Mahinda, could they ordain? And he said, well, I'm a bhikkhu, I can't give you ordination. You need a bhikkhuni. And there weren't at that time any bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka. So they sent back to India and to Mahinda's sister, Sankamita Theri. And she was also an arahant. She was a bhikkhuni. And she felt a sense of responsibility and urgency and felt like she had to go to Sri Lanka to offer the ordination to these women who were requesting, even though it would mean leaving her home and everything she'd known. And even though her father, the emperor, didn't want her to go, still she went. And it was a great journey across land, across sea, and then when they landed in Sri Lanka, down from the north end to the capital city of Anuradhapura. She brought with her also the sapling, a branch of the Bodhi tree, the original one that marked the spot where the Buddha had woken up. And so she's very famous in Sri Lanka for having brought the Bodhi tree there, which was then planted in the capital city. And so we've been following this great journey for the past month. Let's see, last week they finally reached the capital and installed the Bodhi tree. And then there's been a week of celebrations of the Bodhi tree. And now we're coming up on the end of that week, and we're coming up finally on the ordination. That at the culmination of this great journey, all these celebrations, all this pomp and circumstance, what happens is that Queen Anula is able to ordain along with her 1,000 companions, and she becomes an arahant on the new moon. So, yeah, the end of the great journey then is this great awakening, and that's the thing that we're, celebrating. Really, it's not so much the all the details of the journey. It's like all of the celebrations, all of the, colorful stories and pictures and so forth. It's like those things are there to make us interested and inspired of like, what was it actually that they realized? What was it that made them want to go forth? What was it that they saw with stream entry? What was it that they realized when they became arahants? Queen Anula is known as the first arahant of Sri Lanka of any gender. She's remembered that way. And I think then Ayya Suvijjana is going to help us today to answer that question a little bit of what was it that they realized? What is this stream entry? Why is it worthy of all this fuss, this whole big journey? What for? And looking at what's underlying that. So I'll hand it back to Ayya Suvijjana.
Thank you, Venerable Gachina, for the inspiring story in brief. Hearing the teachings, Queen Anula Devi, well, we have to say her name differently, don't we? That she was a bhikkhuni, so she's Venerable Anula. How were we supposed to say this?
I think they still call her Anula Devi
Venerable.
in Sri Lanka, so I'm sure she was Venerable Bhikkhuni Theri Arahant.
So at the time, though, she was still Queen Anula, and she had attained Sotapanna, just hearing the teaching, but I think also inspired by the presence of an arahant. And so I think then it's having an arahant explaining the Dhamma to you, being in the presence of an arahant. That would really bring up your saddha, your faith, and to bring it to a level where it was unshakable. And this is one of the 4 qualities that are listed in the suttas for Sotapanna. They have unshakable faith in the Buddha. That's 1. Dhamma, that's 2. And Sangha. So unshakable faith in the triple gem. And the 4th quality is that they keep their sila, their moral conduct, pure. And I'll talk about these qualities. And I'm also going to talk about the 5 spiritual faculties. And I hope it doesn't get too confusing, but they're related in that saddha is a first factor. And so all these work together. I think that they, hearing the teachings, the other factors were arising somehow. And or just having the saddha help them start to perfect these qualities, these factors. So we'll just kind of explore. I have some extracts from the suttas that I'm going to read, and I'm going to recite the Pali from this one verse. Yesam sada cha silancha vasado dhamma dasanam tewe kalena pachanti Brahmacharyogadam Sukhanti. So this is Bhante Sujato's translation. Those who have faith and ethics, confidence and vision of the truth in time arise at happiness, the culmination of the spiritual life. So in this verse, we have saddha and sila. So this the triple saddha, the faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the sila is there. Confidence and vision of the truth in time arrive at happiness, the culmination of the spiritual life. So these qualities can be developed over time. They can develop quickly. I think if you're really inspired, like I can imagine being in the presence of an arahant and hearing the teachings. And it was like they were given the teaching like over a 2-day period. They were hearing a whole series of teachings, and somehow they penetrated them with wisdom. So somehow they got enough understanding, a deep enough understanding, that they had a breakthrough to enter the stream. So their faith was unshakable. This is unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and the triple gem, and pure sila. And as I was saying, the saddha is the first of the 5 spiritual faculties, or the panchindriya, I think is how it's actually said. And it's also controlling faculty. So this saddha is also translated as trust and confidence. And what other? There's more than there's quite a few. Confidence. Can you think of another?
So the main 3: trust, confidence, faith.
Yeah. So we start out with the saddha. We might come to the Buddha Dhamma because we've heard something, we've met somebody that inspires us. It's we get inspired, and but it's through some kind of understanding, and it's not just purely charisma that we get inspired by a person. In the Buddhist teaching, the saddha is not just foolish faith, just following somebody because they're promising us something that you can't prove, something in the afterlife, something glorious that's you can't see in this lifetime, but truth that we can see in this lifetime is something that's apparent here and now. So we start having the beginnings of this confidence as something that directs our attention and our activity towards understanding the Dhamma more clearly. And in the teachings, I'll say the 5 spiritual faculties. And as I said, the first one is faith, saddha, or trust or confidence. And the second one is virya, which is energy. And the third one is sati, which is mindfulness. The fourth is samadhi, which Ajahn Brahm translates as stillness. It's usually translated as concentration, and a lot of people don't like that translation. Stillness, collectedness of mind, settledness of mind. It's hard to find one word that really describes samadhi well, but so, and then the last one is panya, which is wisdom. There's another translation of that. So, what does Ajahn Thanissaro say? Panya is, it's something different. Discernment. He likes the word discernment. But mostly people translate panya as wisdom. So these 5 faculties all support one another, and the panya and the saddha balance one another. So in the case of Queen Anula Devi and her the ladies of the court, they were inspired by the Arahant, and then they sat and they listened to this teaching, which further it deepened their wisdom and it deepened their faith, because they the more they understood the teaching, the deeper their faith became. So so I have here, I'll just repeat this again, because in case this is new to you, it's good to hear things repeated. Saddha is the first of the Panchindriya, or 5 controlling faculties. The next is virya, energy, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, unification of mind, stillness of mind, and wisdom, panya. And so I have here trust, conviction. That was one of the ones I was forgetting. I think that's also Ajahn Thanissaro's translation. So in English, saddha is translated as a sense of faith, confidence, conviction, or trust. Panya and saddha balance one another. This kind of faith is not just believing because someone told us so. It is confidence based on understanding. Panya is usually translated as wisdom, and wisdom springs out of our investigation and personal experience. So not only do we just passively hear the teaching, our own investigation. So there's a inner development that happens over time. By hearing the teaching, you kind of put it to a test, or just become inquisitive and or a lot of times things are apparent over time or apparent here and now. Like I read the teachings and the teaching is apparent in that it's like I haven't seen it before, but it's there. It's like if someone points out, look over in the horizon and do you see that mountain? And I'm like, oh, right. I never noticed that before. I never, someone, helps us focus in on something that's always been there. But until we're shown it, we don't see it. So this is how somehow the teachings manifest in us, that we are able to see something that has been right in front of us all along. Or they confirm something we've been suspecting all along, like the truth of dukkha. and somebody finally tells us, yes, this is really difficult, this life. And the truth of anicca. It's like, oh, right. Nothing lasts, nothing's permanent. So some of it's apparent, but people are in denial. We don't want to see it. So this is how the wisdom develops, and our faith increases as we start seeing things more and more clearly. We get more trust in the Buddha's teaching. Okay, so we may have, maybe I won't just read this. Sada, our faith, may have brought us to the Buddha Dhamma, and we may have heard the Dhamma teaching or met somebody that really inspired us. I've already gone over this, I think. So can read how something that Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi has written. It says, in this process, the faculty of faith provides the element of inspiration and aspiration, which steers the mind away from the quagmire of doubt and settles it with serene trust in the triple gem as the supreme basis of deliverance. So we go completely, there's no doubt in our minds at all. This is the way. The triple gem is the way. So another aspect of sada is devotion. So we can be devoted to our practice, devoted to investigating, devoted to our object of meditation. And so this brings up energy, this sada, this inspiration. So this is the virya is arising out of the sada. And then mindfulness is, or sati, naturally it's the centerpiece of the five spiritual faculties. We have virya and samadhi balancing the inner pair, balance one another, because if we have too much energy, if we're too energetic, then the mind can't settle into stillness and quietude, but it still needs that energy. The samadhi needs the energy, or the mind will just kind of sink. So these two balance each other. So then we have the energy to abandon the unwholesome mental states. This is a aspect of virya. It's actually sama vayama. And so we abandon the unwholesome and we develop the wholesome qualities. And the sati has the awareness to see this the arising of these unwholesome qualities. And so these two work together in that way. The sati is kind of the watchman, the Ajahn Brahm says it's like the bouncer at a bar. So sees the kind of the characters that are unwelcome and doesn't even let them in or bounces them out if they start causing trouble. So this is Virya is the actual activity of the abandoning, and the sati is the one that's like aware of what's going on, to keeping things balanced. Actually, the sati balances the other four. So we remember this. Sati is also remembering. So we will also remember that this isn't this. I remember this. this person that's caused trouble before. So we recognize the unwholesome states more quickly. It's like we see them coming, or so we or shut the door before they have a chance to even get close. So we abandon the unwholesome, and we remember also to keep our sila. And when we're, this is not just during our sitting meditation. These 5 faculties help us throughout the day as well. So the sati will help us with keeping our sila, if we're aware of the arising of an unwholesome state that's going to direct us to breaking any of our precepts, any of the 5 precepts, or how many other precepts we might be keeping. Then this is a protection for the sila. So this is a sati sampajanya, which is the developing of wisdom. And when we're seeing how harmful thoughts or harmful actions or harmful speech is causing suffering for ourselves, the more we understand that, the more quickly we'll avoid these unwholesome behaviors. So the wisdom is developing. It also springs from the samadhi. The wisdom springs from the samadhi, in that the mind is settling, becoming more clear, and then we're able to see, understand suffering, understand what's helpful and what's harmful more clearly. So the clear awareness from the sati also supports the samadhi. So they're all working together, all 5 of them. And the wisdom is said to be the pinnacle of these 5, but the sada is the starting point. This is the one of the characteristics of the stream enter. And so we have a wonderful opportunity as human beings to have our conduct guided by the Dhamma, and to keep our sila, and to engage in wholesome activities and meritorious activities. We have human intelligence and the ability to understand the Buddha Dhamma. If we apply ourselves to these teaching, the basic teaching is that of the wholesome and the unwholesome, which I started to talk about. And then we can see clearly how the wholesome activities wholesome is cause of happiness, and the unwholesome is cause of suffering. So we can see how keeping our sila is a cause of happiness, and then we can see how that out of greed or clinging or craving, unwholesome activities may arise, stinginess, anger, all the unwholesome qualities can spring out of craving. And this is a cause of suffering. So we're starting to understand cause and effect. So this is how the wisdom is developing. And then the sada will get stronger because we're starting to understand the Four Noble Truths, and our faith in the teaching is increasing. And so they're all building on one another. Our trust gets stronger in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And this is, I call it bright sada, bright. It's full of joy, bright faith. And in addition to this, we have no remorse because we keep our sila pure, and our mind was able to settle naturally into samadhi. So these two things are the sila and the sada, so is supportive to the samadhi. Supported by sati and virya, the clarity and settledness of mind in samadhi gives us an unbiased view of phenomena. With the steady attention of samadhi, we start to see things as they actually are. So we start seeing things very clearly, things as they are. We start to gain understanding of the world. Panya, or wisdom, is arising and deepening. So this is a continuous process that keeps getting deeper and deeper as we explore for ourselves, look for ourselves, explore the teachings. We start out with the basic wholesome qualities of faith, energy, mindfulness, immersion. That's a Bhante Sujato's translation, and wisdom. And over time, they develop into panchindriya, the five controlling faculties. So we can develop these qualities, but until they get to a certain level, till they get to actually an awakened level, they're not the controlling faculties, or the spiritual faculties. But they are qualities that we can work at developing. And then over time, they'll just kind of start gathering momentum and building on one another. And then eventually we'll make a breakthrough. So I have a sutta extract here from the Samyutta Nikaya. And it's in the Indriya Samyutta, which is the connected discourses on the spiritual faculties. And this one is called In Brief. It's SN 48.13. And this is Bhante Sujato's translation. If you hear the word mendicants, you can guess that that's Bhante Sujato's translation. So here we go. Mendicants, there are these five spiritual faculties. What five? The faculty of faith, energy, mindfulness, immersion, and wisdom. These are the five faculties. Someone who has completed and fulfilled these five faculties is a perfected one. So that's an arahant. If they are weaker than that, that's a non-returner. That's a anagami. If they're weaker than that, they're a once returner. That's a sakyadgami. If they're weaker than that, they're a stream enter, sotapanna, which we were talking about. And then there's something called a faith follower and a Dhamma follower. And these are on the path to stream entry. So they're Bhante Sujato says a follower of the teachings. So that would be the Dhamma follower, and the follower by faith. So this is a prior to stream entry. So you're guaranteed not to go to a next birth without entering the stream if you're a Dhamma follower or a faith follower. And so from the diversity of faculties, there's a diversity of fruits. And from the diversity of fruits, there is a diversity of persons. So like it's starting out, what it says, weaker. That means that these faculties are still in the developmental stage. They're still gathering strength. So he's gone kind of descended, but the experience would be ascending into a stronger quality of these faculties. So here is also a description of the 5 faculties. And what is the faculty of faith? It's when a noble disciple has faith in the realized one's awakening. That blessed one is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, a knower of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, blessed. This is called the faculty of faith. So this is also in the connected discourses on the faculties, the spiritual faculties. And that was just on that one, on Sada. And if you want the reference to this, you can ask me. I can give those references to you. And then there's one more I'll read. And where is the faculty of faith to be seen? In the 4 factors of stream entry. So we already discussed that one. And where should the faculty of energy be seen? In the 4 right efforts. So that's Sama Vayamo, the 4 right efforts. And where should the faculty of mindfulness be seen? In the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So if we perfect the 4 foundations of mindfulness, that's said to be the faculty of mindfulness. And where should the faculty of immersion be seen? In the 4 absorptions. So this is Bhante Sujato's translation. He says immersion for stillness or settledness of mind, or, and don't say the word concentration or you might get some people upset. And where should the faculty of wisdom be seen? In the 4 noble truths. So understanding the 4 noble truths, penetrating the 4 noble truths is the faculty of wisdom. According to this description here, and sometimes things are described differently by the Lord Buddha, but this is kind of a standard list. And sometimes the Lord Buddha will ask Venerable Sariputta, you'll see in the suttas, he'll say, well, explain this to me. And he'll come up with a very unique way of looking at it. And the Lord Buddha says, yes, that's just right. So there's different ways of seeing it. But this is a basic description of Sammaditthi, is the understanding, the penetration of the 4 noble truths, to really clearly understand them. And it's a breakthrough. Sotapanna will, what's called possess the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. So this is another description of a Sotapanna. So it's a gradual path, and all these factors work together. And our sila is really important. If you compare the 5 faculties to the Noble Eightfold Path, it's lacking it seems to be lacking the sila aspect, the 5 faculties, but because it doesn't have right speech, it doesn't have right action, it doesn't have right livelihood within there, but so we can answer that later. So we can see it though, in that these you can't avoid understanding the unwholesome and the wholesome as far as within the wisdom faculty. So it's there in the right effort, in the virya. And also I've heard somebody say, or I read, that the reason for the lack of the emphasis on the sila with the 5 faculties is that it's assumed that when somebody's at that level, they're keeping their sila pure. They're already keeping their sila pure, so it's not something that has to be explained to them. They're already they're not breaking any of the 5 precepts at the very least. So so we have the qualities of the stream enter, which I will go over again. This is the last one. Sorry. You're probably missing the last page. Oh, well. So I started out with the poem. Those who have faith and ethics, confidence and vision in the truth, in time arrive at happiness, the culmination of the spiritual life. So this culminates over time, and it takes a lot of patience and dedication, and the sadha is often the starting point for all of us. So, and it should continue to grow and inspire us and keep us to dedicate ourselves, to devote ourselves to this practice. So I think I'll stop there. I don't know if Venerable Kachayana has more to add to this. Any comments or corrections? What? Sorry for all the page shuffling. You're happy? No corrections, no. Here's the one I was looking for. So here we have Bhante Sujata's translation again. It says, mendicants, a noble disciple who has these 4 things, is a stream enter, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. What for? It's when a noble disciple has experienced unshakable confidence in the Buddha, the teachings, the Sangha, and they have the ethical conduct loved by the noble ones, leading to immersion, stillness, settledness of mind, collectedness of mind. A noble disciple who has these four things is a stream enterer, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. That is what the Buddha said. Then the Holy One, the teacher, went on to say, those who have faith and ethics, confidence and vision of the truth in time arrive at happiness, the culmination of the spiritual life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we have a little time for questions, and someone asked for a copy of the, well, this, oh, did we record this? Did we put it?
Yes, it's being recorded on YouTube.
It's being recorded on YouTube and then privately, but then it's going to be, it's public. Oh, okay. So it's public. So, so how will they access it? Just on our YouTube? So if you go to the YouTube channel, then you can see a copy of it. And I don't know about actually having you were interested in, were you also interested in the references to the suttas?
No.
Or just hearing the talk again?
Yeah. So, okay. So YouTube, what is the address of the YouTube of the this site?
Monastery. You go to YouTube and search Dhammadharini Monastery. We have a channel. It should come up.
What is the name again, please?
Dhammadharini Monastery. Dhammadharini. So the
Okay. I see it.
Dhammadharini Monastery.
Dhammadharini. Okay. Dhammadharini Monastery.
Yeah. However you got to this or this talk tonight, you have the name there. I think, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we will
see it in the Zoom at the bottom left corner. It should say Dhammadharini Monastery if you're looking at Ayya Suvijjana.
Okay, I see it. So I am going online to hear it again.
Yes.
There's some point that it's interesting. So I'm going to yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. So does anyone else have any questions or comments? Let me see if I
Could
can.
be more in the chat there.
Is there in the chat? Do I
Click more.
more?
Here the three dots.
Two in the chat. I got that one. Oh, someone other nothing. Excuse me. Any comments or questions? So these faculties and the faith and the inspiration to keep the precepts will come up naturally, I think, as we delve into the teaching. And it's a natural process. But we can, with our awareness, direct ourselves, kind of kindle our inspiration and keep it going. And just understanding how balancing the faculties helps. We can make an intention to keep our sila as pure as we can possibly do. So it's not like we're going to say, I'm going to attain stream entry or bust or something like that. It's more like we'll just apply ourselves to the practice and, these various factors. And then it naturally unfolds.
Meditation this happen daily or only Tuesday?
Oh, well, we all meditate. I don't know how many times a day any of us meditate,
Oh,
but we're all meditating daily.
together on Zoom. Together
And
on Zoom.
we have a Sunday morning meditation.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday morning, yeah, and then the Tuesday evening. And our sutta study, we start with a brief meditation. But the Sundays and the Tuesdays, there's a guided meditation.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
And we have a question in the audience here.
Thank you, Ayya. I heard you mention that these 5 are useful also in daily life and daily living. And I believe you said that, correct me if I'm wrong. I was reflecting on that. And I've seen how think devotion and energy and wisdom and mindfulness, I kind of understand those. I'm curious about samadhi and how that plays into like doing chores or all the other things we're doing besides doing seated meditation.
Well, samadhi is defined as the 4 absorptions or jhanas. And obviously you won't be in the deep absorption when you're chopping carrots or sweeping or something like that. But there's different levels of samadhi. At least in the commentaries, they talk about momentary samadhi, like that you're fully engaged with what you're doing. And it could be like sati sampajanya, coming to a very deep level, and the mind is really still, and you're really with moment by moment with each sense object. Actually, some people had said that awaken, there's some level of awakening in some activity. And you actually see that in the suttas, like the Arhat Bhikkhuni, Venerable Bhattacharya, she washed her feet, she went into her kuti, she checked under her bed, she sat on her bed, and she extinguished the light. But she said, I guess at the beginning of her enlightenment poem, she said, I steadied my mind and kind of reined it like a thoroughbred horse. And so then she did these activities, washing her feet, entering her kuti, sitting on the bed, extinguishing the light. And when she extinguished the light, she attained full awakening. She became an arhat. So but it may be that a person who this awakening happens in some activity like that, it may be that they have some level of jhana. They've already had some experience of jhana, but they haven't had that deep penetrating insight. So could be going from a deep meditative state, going out in engaging in the world, and then something really sparks that. But as far as the faculties maturing, and so you might have a weaker level of the faculties that you're building on. I think that the being fully engaged in an activity to mind really settles. The mind can be really still. The mind can be really quiet. And this will support your sitting meditation. So there is, and especially in other traditions, they talk about different levels of samadhi, and that can be in activity. So quietness of mind, stillness of mind, collectedness of mind on an object, but the object isn't like in a jhana, it's just you're letting go of the sense objects. You're not engaging. More and more you're letting go of the sense objects, and the mind is becoming very still and not engaging externally at all, but it's engaging fully in this, what you're doing at the moment to moment to moment to moment. And that could be a description of Kanaka Samadhi, which is in the commentaries. It's not found in the suttas, but this is moment to moment, or momentary. I don't know, they say concentration, so I should, it's a bad word in some circles. Momentary samadhi, momentary stillness of mind.
So it is several spots, several time spot, concentration. No more. It got then another moment of concentration, and then another, but not the continuously aligned for long.
Yeah, the object is not a single object.
Oh.
You're not absorbed into a single object. You're not and the mind is not withdrawn into itself, but it's so it's moment to moment to moment. It's the awareness is just right there with whatever that very moment, with the contact.
Ayya, may I ask, what was that type of samadhi called again?
Is Kanaka Samadhi? Kanaka?
Okay, samadhi.
With a K, I believe. Do you know the spelling of it? Kanaka. Okay, enough. So I appreciate all your kind and patient attention. And we can close with paying respects to the triple gem. So I'm going to turn towards our altar here. And if you know this chant, you can chant along with us. And if you have an object, a Buddha image or something, you can use your own image to bow to. Or you can bow with us to this image here. I'll turn this a little bit more in that direction. Okay. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Thank you all again for joining us.
Thank you, Venerables.
You,
Thank you
Ayya.
very much.
Good night.
Good night.
Very grateful.
Thank you, Ayya.